This video includes discussions of sensitive events for historical education purposes which are not dismissive in nature and follow all platform guidelines.
I tried. I really did. A while back, I made a video about how AI-generated historical photos were getting out of hand. There's a very real risk of these AI photos getting mixed in with the real ones. Look at how young and full of hope I was. But if you couldn't tell, things have only gone downhill since then, and these AI-generated photos have finally pushed me to the edge. Chasing Facebook revenue has led the creators of AI slop pages to turn to increasingly shocking subject matter to get clicks, and apparently nothing is off limits. These pages are using artificial intelligence to profit off of the Holocaust by posting fake AI images and stories to generate engagement. If that doesn't cross the line, I honestly don't know what would. This isn't some localized problem either. Posts like this have been gaining popularity for months, and these pages have reached millions of users, many of whom take these posts as actual historical records, having no idea that the people featured in these photos and stories never existed. Despite the wave of outrage and media backlash generated by these insensitive posts, Facebook has done absolutely nothing to crack down on these empathy-baiting AI slop pages. I figured I'd take a look into some of these pages to learn more about them, and what I discovered was pretty shocking. Today, I want to dig into these AI Holocaust pages on Facebook to understand what they're sharing, why they do it, and the real harm that this can cause. This is the Slop Files. Before I completely lose my sanity, I'd like to quickly thank Venture Surplus for being a sponsor and making it possible for me to keep covering important topics like this. Venture Surplus offers USGI surplus gear that's proven to work in the field. They're known for having the best grading standards in the industry and a knowledgeable and experienced team that actually tests and uses the gear they sell. It's affordable surplus gear that you can rely on when you really need it. They're also known for their huge selection of USGI MREs and freeze-dried meals that have 5 to 30 year shelf lives. Now, love them or hate them, MREs are the best option for survival situations, camping, backpacking, hunting, prepping, LARPing, AI robot takeover, you're hungry and you don't want to go to the grocery store. You get the point. It's a good idea for everyone to keep a few weeks of emergency meals on hand, especially with all the uncertainty in the world, so now's the time to take care of that. I even got you guys a discount code, so just click the link in the description to shop, then use code WWWOFF for an additional 10% off your already affordable MRE order. Okay, now let's start building a case file on these AI slop pages to start figuring out their MO. There is some variation in the posts shared by these AI Holocaust pages, but the vast majority of posts consist of a story about a very emotional act that took place during the Holocaust, accompanied by an AI-generated photo. These stories sometimes reference real atrocities and concentration camps, and sometimes they even include the names of real Holocaust victims and perpetrators, but the stories themselves are completely made up and AI-generated. Out of curiosity, I pasted one of these stories into ChatGPT and asked it for an example prompt that could have been used to generate that story. This was the prompt it generated. Write a brief, emotional, historical fiction scene set during a 1944 forced march in Poland, focusing on a mother and daughter enduring brutality, cold, and exhaustion while showing moments of resilience and human connection. That wasn't the exact prompt used to generate that story, of course, but I think that helps highlight that these pages know what they're doing. They aren't just prompting AI to create any emotional story. They're methodically creating AI Holocaust misinformation, and they certainly make the conscious choice to create stories that are as emotional and shocking as possible. Thinking about someone sitting down and coming up with prompts to try to make fake stories about people suffering for money just sucks away whatever faith I had left in humanity. Now, I would guess that many of these pages are highly automated, so the idea for that story used in the example prompt was likely also generated by AI. But at some point in this process, a human prompted the program to generate this fake Holocaust content, and that's up. The stories are typically shared along with a related AI-generated photo, with the story itself likely acting as the photo creation prompt. I tried using ChatGPT to generate a similar type of story and accompanying photo depicting a YouTuber who talks about AI, and the whole process from the first prompt to posting on Facebook only took about 2 minutes. That process could be automated to an extent to make it even faster. It's easy to see how some of these pages share hundreds of posts like this every day, and that is not an exaggeration. I'll mention that the photos shared shared in these posts are often very clearly AI generated to anyone who's familiar with the look of AI photos. But if you could recognize that, congratulations, you're not the target audience. There are plenty of people out there who 100% believe these posts, and I talk more about some of the groups that are often more susceptible to AI photos in my previous video. Even if you were able to tell these are fake, AI generated photos are constantly becoming more realistic, and before long they'll be indistinguishable from the real one. So now that we understand what these posts look like and how they're made, let's try to hone in on why the Holocaust specifically is being exploited by these pages. The answer is money. Facebook offers monetization programs that often allow pages to generate revenue directly from engagement on their posts. This is a major reason why Facebook is ground zero for this AI epidemic. These pages can make money just from text and photo posts, which means the bar for entry is much lower than on YouTube, for example, where you typically need to share a video to monetize the post. Now, YouTube has its own AI problems, but it's much easier for these pages to quickly pump out text and photo posts on Facebook than to generate and upload YouTube videos. These Facebook pages also often include links in their posts and encourage viewers to click the link to see the full article. The link generally leads to a longer version of the same story from the post that's still AI generated, but these websites are loaded with ads, meaning they're earning money every time someone visits the site. This allows some pages to earn money from these AI Holocaust posts even if they aren't actively monetized through Facebook. So why is the Holocaust such a common topic for these AI pages looking to make a quick buck? Well, because it works. Like we discussed, revenue is earned from engagement. Posts that drum up more emotion in viewers receive more comments and reactions, which therefore generates more money. The Holocaust is a topic that's widely recognized, and most people are already familiar with real emotional stories from the Holocaust, which unfortunately makes it the perfect tragedy for these pages to exploit. And when I say this strategy works, I mean it. When I previously covered AI generated photos of World War II soldiers and such, most of the pages posting those photos were relatively small, and the post rarely had more than 1,000 reactions. Some of these AI Holocaust pages have tens of thousands of followers and routinely receive thousands of reactions on their posts. In fact, when I pulled up the histories of these pages, most of them started out as pages dedicated to completely different topics, then pivoted to posting Holocaust content just in the past few months once the owners discovered how profitable it was. The Facebook algorithm heavily incentivizes this type of shocking content, and since Facebook has shown no interest in restricting this type of post, I don't see this trend coming to an end anytime soon unless some serious changes are made. So what's the harm in this? Maybe it feels a little icky to profit off of fake stories about real human pain and suffering. Or at least it should to whoever's making these. But even though these photos and stories aren't real, many similar events really did happen during the Holocaust. So this isn't a big deal, right? Wrong. I've seen some comments on these AI posts basically saying the same thing. Things like this really did happen, so it doesn't matter if this specific post is fake. But that is far from reality. These AI posts distort history and don't accurately portray the past. The stories and photos give a false impression of what people experienced during the Holocaust, and they use the names of real people and places, altering their true stories. Imagine that your relative was really killed in the Holocaust, and one day you came across a fake story about their death on Facebook with thousands of likes and a fake AI generated photo of your dying relative. I probably wouldn't be too happy about that. Worst of all, these posts sow doubt about the Holocaust at a time when Holocaust denial and conspiracy theories are already at an all-time high. For people who buy into these theories, these fake photos can bolster their beliefs and be seen as evidence that other photos and stories they've seen may also be fake. These AI posts can also cast doubt on real Holocaust information by causing skeptical viewers to start doubting anything they see being shared about those events. The BBC published an article about these Facebook posts, and in it they quote a spokesperson from the Auschwitz Memorial who said, "We already started getting comments on our Facebook posts that, oh, this is an AI generated photograph." That's one of the main issues with AI generated photos that I covered in my previous video. They blur the lines of reality. The real photos start to look fake, while the fake photos are getting passed off as being real. Many people view these posts as being in poor taste but ultimately harmless. Let me be the one to sound the alarm though. These posts are not harmless. The Holocaust is not a Facebook meme. It's not engagement bait or some kind of infinite money glitch. It was a real tragedy that killed millions of people. If you view their deaths as a business opportunity, then I probably can't say that in the video, but you get my point. This is serious stuff. Okay, next I think we should take a look at one of these pages in particular to get a better understanding of who's behind them and how they operate. The page I chose is called Legacy Library. This is a pretty big page with over 27,000 followers, and they pretty much exclusively share these AI-generated posts with stories and accompanying photos. Not every one of them is about the Holocaust, but a very large portion of their posts are, and the others are similar made-up historical posts about other time periods and events. They also post a lot. When I pulled up their page today, they had shared 258 of these AI posts just in the past 24 hours. 258 posts in 24 hours. And that's just one page. There are dozens of pages doing this, and they're flooding the algorithm with AI slop faster than any human possibly could. The photos on this particular page I chose are also some of the most convincing that I've seen. If you weren't familiar with AI and scrolled past some of these photos, you'd probably have no clue that they aren't real. Well, some are more convincing than others, but you get the point. Now let's see what we can learn about the people who run this page by looking at the page's about info. We can see here that the page has managers in both the US and Syria. From what I've seen, almost all of the pages like this are run from foreign countries, but they typically have at least one US page manager added, possibly to gain access to US monetization tools or just to appear more legitimate. There are major pages posting this Holocaust content from Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, and plenty of other countries around the globe. We can also see that Legacy Library isn't this page's original name. The original name was Tollywood Audition. Tollywood refers to a segment of the Indian film industry similar to Bollywood, but in a different area. The page has even posted at least one event advertising acting classes and roles in upcoming projects. Who knows if the page was just repurposed by its owner, or purchased, or hacked, or what, but in any case, it changed its name to Legacy Library 2 years after its creation. This is pretty typical. Pretty much all the other pages I looked at had previously gone by different names and covered different topics. We can also see that Legacy Library is followed by different pages that share the same type of AI Holocaust posts, like the page History Teller. Many of these pages post the exact same AI photos, which means that they're likely being run by the same person or company. I tried to get in touch with some of these pages, but the contact info they use is generally made up, which isn't a big surprise. Some listed their location as New York City, even though they were clearly being managed from another country. Some listed the names of companies that own them, which don't seem to be real companies. And some even had phone numbers and email addresses that I tried to follow up on. That page History Teller listed an email address that I reached out to and got nothing back. And one other page listed a phone number, which I called and was astounded when somebody actually answered.
Hello?
Hi, I was calling because this number is listed for the Facebook profile, Antique Adventures. Do I have the right guy? No luck. I think they just listed a fake phone number. I don't think that guy hung up because he's like the mastermind of these AI pages or something. Or is he? Nah, I would honestly be more surprised if these pages that fake all their content didn't have fake contact info. These pages do their best to remain anonymous, and it seems they've been pretty successful at that. Alright, that brings us to our final question. What the hell can we do about any of this? Honestly, I don't know if I have the answer to that. It would be great if Meta would actually make a change to combat this type of misinformation and exploitation on their platforms, but I just don't see that happening. AI content is making them tons of money, and cracking down on these types of posts would require investing time and money in something that they don't really seem bothered by in the first place. If AI-generated Holocaust images keep users on the platform longer so they can consume more ads and generate more revenue for the company, why would they go out of their way to get rid of that? Of course, I wish platforms would crack down on this garbage AI content, but honestly, I don't even know how reliably this content could be detected and flagged at this point. Hopefully, people who know way more about AI detection than I do are working hard on this and can figure something out soon, because this is far from the only damaging use of AI that's going on right now. As a user though, here's what you can actually do. If you come across a page that's sharing AI-generated historical images, it's probably best to avoid interacting with it altogether and maybe report the post or page if it violates the platform guidelines. I know it can be tempting to comment on all the posts and point out that they're AI, but keep in mind that's exactly what the page owners want. They don't care if you think it's real, they just care that you engage with the post because that's how they make their money. It's also important to make sure your loved ones are aware of AI and know to be skeptical online. Not just so they don't believe these posts, but also so they don't get scammed or taken advantage of. I never thought that my job as a professional history nerd would involve talking about artificial intelligence, but AI is creeping its way into every industry and every aspect of our lives. I do think there are plenty of good uses for AI, but we need to put a stop to the bad uses quickly or we're gonna end up in real trouble. Just remember, when it comes to any historical event, and especially the Holocaust, the real photos, stories, and history are more than enough. There is no shortage of documentation on the terrible acts carried out during that portion of history. I encourage all of you to go read a book, watch a documentary, or do some online research from reputable sites to learn real information about the Holocaust. Not information that was made up by a computer to trick you for Facebook engagement. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this. I got some really insightful responses after my last AI video, so let me know what you guys think. Is this the big deal that I think it is, or am I just worrying over nothing? I'd love to believe it's the latter, but sadly I think AI historical misinformation is only gonna get worse from here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm gonna go try to put my life back together and forget all the AI garbage I had to wade through while making this video, but I'll see you all in the next one.